Have you ever been so cold that your bones felt like they were cracking from the inside? That was me, crouched behind a dumpster in the industrial district of Ashford, watching my breath crystallize in the November air. 3 years. 3 years since the Wintertown pack threw me away like garbage. 3 years of running, hiding, starving. My name was Theresa Main. I was the daughter of the Gamma. I was the fated mate to Alpha Derek Stone. I was the girl who couldn't shift properly, whose wolf was defective, whose existence embarrassed the strongest pack in the Northern Territories. On the night Derek chose Ava Voss, a warrior wolf with a perfect form and a ruthless smile, they didn't just banish me. They sent trackers. Orders were simple: kill on sight, make it look accidental. For 3 years, I ran. I learned to sleep in abandoned buildings. I learned to eat from dumpsters. I learned to hide my scent with gasoline and filth. I became the thing they always said I was, a feral rogue, more animal than woman. I thought I would die that way, alone, forgotten, unwanted in some frozen alley. But tonight, everything was about to change. Because the Rogue King himself, Theodore Graves, the man who executed rogues for sport, was hunting me. And I had nowhere left to run. The industrial district of Ashford smelled like rust, diesel fuel, and desperation. It was perfect for hiding. Most wolves avoided human cities, too many cameras, too many witnesses, too much steel and concrete that dulled their senses. But for a rogue like me, it was the only place left. I pressed myself against the brick wall of an abandoned textile factory, my entire body shaking. Not from the cold, though it was freezing. From hunger. I hadn't eaten in 4 days. The dumpster behind Lucy's restaurant had been emptied early this week, and I'd missed my window. My wolf stirred inside me, a broken, fragmented thing that had never fully formed. Most wolves shifted for the first time at 16. I was 25 now, and I'd never managed more than partial transformations, claws that wouldn't fully extend, teeth that ached but barely sharpened, eyes that glowed amber but gave me blinding headaches. Defective, Derek had called me the night he rejected me. A genetic dead end. I shook my head, pushing the memory away. Memories didn't help. Survival helped. I waited until the street was clear, then darted across to the next alley. My backpack, a torn, filthy thing I'd pulled from a dumpster months ago, bounced against my spine. Everything I owned was in there: 2 stolen protein bars, a rusty knife, $3.47 in change, and a photograph I should have burned years ago. It was a picture of me and Derek at 17, sitting on the dock at Silver Lake. His arm was around my shoulders. We were both smiling. We looked happy. We looked like we had a future. I was such a fool. A howl split the night air, distant but unmistakable. My blood turned to ice. Trackers. Wintertown sent them every few months, just to make sure I stayed running, stayed broken. Derek couldn't have a defective former mate wandering around, telling people that the great Alpha Derek Stone had rejected his fated mate for money. Ava's family had paid him well, $3 million and an alliance that doubled Wintertown's territory. I was just collateral damage. I ran. My feet pounded against wet pavement, splashing through puddles. My lungs burned. I hadn't eaten enough to have energy for this. My vision swam, dark spots dancing at the edges. Another howl, closer this time. They were tracking my scent. I'd rubbed myself with motor oil earlier, trying to mask it, but it wasn't enough. It never was. I ducked into an alley, scrambling over a chain-link fence. The metal rattled, announcing my presence. Stupid. So stupid. I dropped onto the other side and kept running. The warehouse district stretched ahead of me, a maze of abandoned buildings and broken dreams. I knew this area well. I'd been sleeping in an old machine shop 3 blocks east, hidden behind rusted equipment that smelled too much like iron for wolves to track me easily. But I'd never make it there. Not with trackers this close. I veered left, heading for the old Morrison Steel warehouse. It was 5 stories of crumbling concrete and shattered windows. Dangerous. Unstable. Perfect. I slipped through a gap in the loading dock door and pressed myself into the shadows. My heart hammered against my ribs. My wolf whimpered inside me, useless and afraid. Some predator I was. I heard them then. Paws hitting pavement. Low growls. 3 of them, maybe 4. She went this way, a male voice called out. I can smell the oil, but underneath, there. Blood. She's injured. I looked down at my arm. The gash from 2 nights ago, when I'd cut myself on broken glass climbing through a window. I'd tried to clean it, but infection had set in. The wound was hot, swollen, and leaking. Of course they could smell it. I forced myself deeper into the warehouse, moving as quietly as possible. The building groaned around me, metal beams settling, floors threatening to collapse. 2nd floor. I needed height. Trackers rarely looked up. I found a rusted stairwell and climbed, each step screaming under my weight. The metal was slick with rain that had leaked through the roof. I slipped twice, catching myself on the railing. 3rd floor. 4th floor. My legs were shaking. Black spots swam in my vision. When was the last time I'd had water? Yesterday? The day before? I reached the 5th floor and collapsed against the wall, gasping. Below me, I heard the warehouse door screech open. She's in here, a female voice said. I recognized it. Mara. She'd been my friend once, before the rejection. Now she was one of Derek's most loyal trackers. Spread out, a male commanded. She can't have gone far. Remember, Ava wants this clean. Make it look like she fell, broke her neck. No obvious wounds. My hands curled into fists. Even now, even after 3 years, they couldn't just let me exist. I wasn't a threat. I wasn't telling their secrets. I was just trying to survive. But survival wasn't allowed for defective wolves. I heard them moving below, searching methodically. I had maybe 5 minutes before they checked the upper floors. I looked around desperately. Broken windows lined the far wall. 5 stories up. If I jumped, I'd die. But if they caught me, I'd die anyway. At least jumping was on my terms. I stood, legs trembling, and walked to the window. The drop was dizzying. Pavement stretched below, dark and wet and final. Marina, my wolf whispered in my mind, her voice weak and broken. Don't. Please. We can fight. We've never been able to fight, I whispered back. We were never strong enough. I climbed onto the window ledge. Wind whipped my hair back. It would be quick. That was something. I closed my eyes. And then I smelled it. Cedarwood. Ozone. Rain and something wild, something ancient, something that made my broken wolf suddenly lift her head and whine. I opened my eyes. Standing on the street below, looking directly up at me, was a man who made the trackers look like puppies. He was massive, at least 6'5", maybe more. He wore all black, combat boots, tactical pants, a long coat that moved like living shadow. His hair was black as a raven's wing, pulled back from a face that looked carved from stone. And his eyes. Even from 5 stories up, I could see them. Violet. Violet eyes. The mark of the royal bloodline. The mark of the Lycan Kings. Theodore Graves had found me. The rogue king stood perfectly still, hands in his coat pockets, looking up at me like I was a particularly interesting puzzle. Are you jumping? He called up, his voice deep and resonant, or do you plan to stand there all night? Because my trackers are coming through the door in approximately 30 seconds, and I'd prefer to have this conversation before they complicate things. I stared at him. This couldn't be happening. The Rogue King didn't hunt rogues personally. He sent his guard. He sent executioners. He didn't show up himself for a starving, defective wolf hiding in a warehouse. Behind me, I heard footsteps on the stairs. "Time's up," Theodore said. "Jump or stay. Choose quickly." I looked at the pavement. I looked at him. I jumped. I didn't die. Theodore moved so fast he was a blur. One moment I was falling, wind screaming in my ears, certain of my death. The next, I was caught in arms that felt like steel bands, my fall arrested so suddenly my teeth clacked together. He landed in a crouch, absorbing the impact with inhuman ease. For a moment, he just held me, looking down at my face with those impossible violet eyes. Up close, he was devastating. Sharp cheekbones, a jaw that could cut glass, a mouth set in a permanent line of authority. But it was his eyes that held me. They weren't just violet, they glowed faintly, like amethyst catching light. "You smell like motor oil and infection," he said, his voice a low rumble. And underneath that, something I can't quite place. I tried to push away from him. "Let me go." "So you can do what? Run? You can barely stand." He was right. Now that the adrenaline was fading, my legs felt like water. My vision swam. The warehouse door burst open behind us. 3 wolves emerged, Mara in her brown wolf form, and 2 males I didn't recognize. They saw Theodore and froze. "Your Majesty." Mara shifted back to human, not caring that she was naked. Royal protocol demanded immediate respect. "We didn't know you were. You were hunting this rogue," Theodore said. It wasn't a question. "Yes, Your Majesty. She's Wintertown territory. We have legal right to." "She's 5 miles outside Wintertown territory," Theodore interrupted, his voice dropping to something dangerous. "Which means she's in neutral ground. Which means you have no legal right to anything except to turn around and go home." Mara's face paled. "Alpha Derek gave us direct orders." "I don't care what orders a regional alpha gave you." Theodore's eyes flashed brighter. "I am telling you to leave. Now." The 3 wolves turned and ran. I watched them go, not believing it. Wintertown trackers didn't just give up. "Unless they'll report back to Derek," I whispered. "He'll know you interfered. He'll come himself." "Good," Theodore said. "I've been wanting to have a conversation with Alpha Derek Stone." He looked down at me, still held in his arms like I weighed nothing. "You're Theresa Main, daughter of Gamma Marcus Thorne, former fated mate to Alpha Derek Stone. Banished 3 years ago for failure to thrive." He said the words like they tasted rotten. "How do you know?" "I make it my business to know about rogues in my territories." "This isn't your territory. This is human land." "Everything is my territory," he said simply. "I'm the king." The arrogance should have made me angry. Instead, I just felt tired. So tired. "Are you going to kill me?" I asked. Something flickered in his eyes. "That depends." "On what?" "On whether you're dangerous." I laughed. It was a broken, bitter sound. "I'm dangerous? Look at me. I can barely walk. I haven't shifted in 3 years. I'm not dangerous. I'm pathetic." "That's not what I asked." He started walking, carrying me like I was a child. "I asked if you're dangerous. Dangerous and weak aren't mutually exclusive." I didn't have the energy to argue. My body was shutting down, the adrenaline crash hitting hard. My vision tunneled. "Stay awake," Theodore commanded. "Why?" I mumbled. "If you're going to kill me anyway. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with you yet." The world went dark. When I woke, I was in a bed. A real bed. With sheets that smelled like cedar and didn't have stains or holes. I shot upright, panic flooding my system. Where was I? Where was my bag? Where was... Calm down. Theodore's voice came from across the room. He sat in a chair by the window, still wearing his black coat, watching me with those unsettling violet eyes. You're safe. Safe, I repeated, looking around frantically. The room was small but clean. Stone walls. A heavy wooden door. One window with bars. This is a cell. This is a guest room in my fortress. With bars on the window. For your protection, not my peace of mind. He stood, moving to a small table where a tray of food sat. You've been unconscious for 8 hours. Your body was in the early stages of organ failure. Starvation, dehydration, infection. My healers have stabilized you, but you need to eat. He brought the tray over. Bread, cheese, sliced meat, fruit. My stomach cramped at the sight of it. Why? I asked. Why what? Why save me? Why bring me here? Why not just? I gestured vaguely. End it? Theodore set the tray on the bed. Eat first. Talk later. I want to talk now. And I want to know why a highborn wolf has been living like a feral rogue for 3 years when there are sanctuaries. I want to know why Wintertown is still hunting you when you pose no threat. I want to know why your scent signature is wrong, not bad, just wrong. Off. Like something is suppressed or broken. He leaned forward, his eyes intense. But you need food before we have that conversation, or you'll pass out again. So eat. I grabbed a piece of bread and bit into it. The taste exploded on my tongue. Butter, salt, actual flavor. I hadn't tasted real food in months. I ate like an animal. Hands shaking, barely chewing, shoving food into my mouth until the tray was empty. Theodore watched without comment. When I finished, I wiped my mouth with the back of my hand. Why does my scent smell wrong? That's what I'm asking you. I don't know what you're talking about. He stood, pacing to the window. Every wolf has a scent signature, unique as a fingerprint. But underneath that, there's a baseline scent that indicates bloodline strength. Alphas smell like dominance. Betas smell like loyalty. Omegas smell like submission. Rogues. He paused. Rogues smell like decay. Like a wolf that's lost its pack bond. So I smell like decay. I am a rogue. No. He turned to face me. You don't smell like decay. You smell like hibernation. Like something dormant. Waiting. My wolf stirred at his words, a feeling so unexpected I flinched. Theodore's eyes sharpened. Your wolf just responded to something I said. No, she didn't. I can see your eyes, Marina. They flickered. Your wolf is listening. I wrapped my arms around myself. My wolf is broken. She can't fully shift. When did you last try? 3 years ago. The night of the rejection. And before that? I hesitated. I don't know. A year before? The shifts were always incomplete. Always painful. Derek said I was defective. The pack healers said my wolf was malformed, that I'd never be a full shifter. Theodore was quiet for a long moment. Then he asked, did anyone ever consider that your wolf wasn't malformed, that she was protecting you? I blinked. Protecting me from what? From shifting in an environment where it wasn't safe to do so. That doesn't make sense. It makes perfect sense. He crossed his arms. Wolves don't shift on a schedule, Marina. We shift when our body and mind are ready. When we feel safe enough to be vulnerable. A shift takes enormous energy and trust. If your wolf didn't feel safe, if she sensed danger or weakness in your alpha, she would refuse to emerge fully. You're saying my wolf knew Derek was, what? Unworthy. I'm saying your wolf knew something you didn't. And rather than force a shift that could have killed you, she stayed dormant. I shook my head. That's not possible. The healer said. The healers were wrong. His voice was flat, absolute. Or they were lying. The words hung in the air between us. Why would they lie? I whispered. That's what I intend to find out. He moved toward the door. Rest. Eat again when the food comes. And don't try to leave. The fortress is warded. If you cross the boundary without my permission, the wards will knock you unconscious. So I am a prisoner. He paused at the door. You're under my protection. There's a difference. What's the difference? A prisoner wants to leave. Someone under protection wants to stay. He left, the door closing with a heavy thud. I sat on the bed, my mind spinning. My wolf, dormant for protection? It sounded like a fantasy. Like something from the old stories grandmothers told. But my wolf was stirring now, more active than she'd been in years. And she was responding to him. To Theodore. To the Rogue King. What did that mean? I spent 2 days in that room. Food came 3 times a day, real food, hot food, more than I could eat. Each time, I devoured it like I might never eat again. Because I probably wouldn't. On the 3rd day, Theodore returned. He brought a file with him, thick, official-looking, with the Wintertown Pack seal on the cover. I've been doing research, he said, settling into the chair across from the bed. Do you want to know what I found? I pulled my knees to my chest. Do I have a choice? Not really. He opened the file. Teresa Main. Born April 17th, daughter of Gamma Marcus Thorne and healer Sarah Thorne. Showed signs of wolf bonding at age 5. First partial shift at age 16, normal range. Second partial shift at age 17, still normal. But then, he looked up at me. Nothing. No full shift documented. No pack runs. No participation in training after age 18. You were essentially removed from pack activities. I was weak, I said automatically. I couldn't keep up. Or you weren't allowed to keep up. He pulled out a photograph, my school records. Straight A student. Volunteered at the pack infirmary. Tutored younger wolves. The year before your rejection, you applied to 6 universities. All acceptances. Full scholarships. I looked away. I'd forgotten about that. Forgotten that I'd once had dreams beyond survival. What happened to those acceptances? Theodore asked. Derek told me I couldn't go. That I was needed in the pack. Needed for what? To be his mate. His mate who wasn't allowed to shift. Wasn't allowed to train. Wasn't allowed to leave pack territory. Theodore's voice was soft, dangerous. Marina, do you know what we call that? I didn't answer. Isolation. It's the first step in controlling someone. You cut them off from opportunities, from outside support, from their own potential. You make them believe they're weak. And then, when you no longer need them, you throw them away. I finished. He nodded. But here's what's interesting. Derek didn't just throw you away. He actively hunts you. 3 years later, he's still sending trackers. Why? Because I'm an embarrassment. You're 500 miles away from Wintertown territory. You're not talking to anyone. You're not a threat to his reputation. Theodore leaned forward. So why does he care so much about a wolf he called defective? I'd never thought about it that way. I'd always assumed the trackers were just cleanup. Making sure I didn't come back. There's something else, Theodore said. He pulled out another document, medical records. Your final health assessment before rejection. The pack doctor wrote, subject shows unusual neural activity during shift attempts. Recommend further testing to determine if subject is suppressing shift voluntarily or if there is a deeper physiological cause. I wasn't suppressing it voluntarily, I said quickly. I tried. God, I tried so hard. I believe you. But the doctor wanted more testing. And according to these records, Derek denied the request. He rejected you 3 days later. The room felt suddenly cold. He knew, I whispered. He knew there might be something else going on, and he rejected me anyway. Worse than that. Theodore's eyes glowed faintly. I think he rejected you because of it. I think he knew exactly what you might be, and he couldn't afford to have it revealed. What I might be? I'm nothing special. I'm just... The door burst open. Cade, Theodore's beta, stood there, breathing hard. My king. We have a problem. What kind of problem? Alpha Derek Stone is at the gate. He's brought 50 wolves. He's demanding you return his property. My blood turned to ice. He's here. Theodore stood slowly. How did he find this location? The trackers must have reported back. Wintertown has been tracking our movements. Cade looked at me, then back at Theodore. What do you want us to do? Theodore's face could have been carved from stone. Tell Alpha Derek that if he wants to have a conversation, he can come alone and unarmed. If he brings his wolves past the gate, I will consider it an act of aggression against the crown. And the girl. The girl stays with me. Cade nodded and left. I scrambled off the bed. You can't, Theodore. Just give me to him. Let me go. He'll tear your fortress apart. He'll do nothing. Theodore's voice was absolute. You're under my protection now. Why? The word burst out of me, raw and desperate. Why do you care? You don't know me. I'm nobody. He crossed the space between us in 2 strides. Before I could react, he gripped my chin, forcing me to look at him. You are not nobody, he said, his voice low and fierce. You are a wolf who has been abused and hunted for 3 years. You are a wolf whose own mate destroyed you for profit. You are a wolf whose very existence threatens whatever lie Derek Stone is trying to protect. And you, his thumb brushed my cheekbone. You are under my protection. Which means anyone who wants to hurt you will have to go through me first. The intensity in his eyes stole my breath. But why? I whispered. Something flickered in his expression. Something he quickly buried. Because it's the right thing to do. He released me and headed for the door. Stay here. Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone except Cade or myself. Theodore. He paused. Be careful. Derek, he's not stupid. He's cruel, but he's not stupid. Neither am I. The door closed behind him. I stood in the empty room, my heart hammering. Through the barred window, I could see movement in the courtyard below. Wolves gathering. Theodore's guard forming a perimeter. And at the gate, I saw him. Derek. He looked exactly the same. Sandy hair. Cold eyes. The bearing of a man who'd never been told no. He saw me in the window. Our eyes met across the distance. He smiled. It was not a kind smile. I stepped back from the window, my wolf whimpering in my mind. He can't reach us here, I told her. We're safe. But I didn't believe it. Derek always found a way to win. I waited in the room for 2 hours. The longest 2 hours of my life. I paced. I looked out the window. I watched as Theodore met Derek in the courtyard below. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I could see the body language. Derek, confident, smiling, gesturing like they were old friends. Theodore, still as stone, arms crossed, unmoved. Then Derek pointed up at my window. I ducked back, heart racing. What was he saying? What lies was he telling? Another 30 minutes passed. Then Cade burst through the door. Come with me. Now. What's happening? The king wants you in his office. Derek is demanding proof that you're here willingly. I'm not going down there. You don't have to. Just the office. He grabbed my arm, pulling me into the hallway. Move. We don't have much time. We went down 3 flights of stairs, through corridors of stone and torchlight. Cade finally stopped at a heavy wooden door and pushed it open. Theodore's office was sparse. A desk. Maps on the walls. weapons mounted above the fireplace. "Wait here," Cade said, then left. I stood in the center of the room, wrapping my arms around myself. Minutes ticked by. Then I heard voices in the hallway. Multiple voices. The door opened. Derek walked in. I stopped breathing. He looked me up and down, his expression unreadable. "Marina, you look better. Cleaner. What do you want?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. "I want you to come home." I laughed. It was a harsh, broken sound. "Home? You banished me. You sent trackers to kill me. A mistake. A terrible mistake." He stepped closer. Behind him, Theodore stood in the doorway, watching with those violet eyes. "I was under pressure, Marina. The pack was in debt. Ava's family offered help. I thought I had no choice. You had a choice. You chose money. I chose survival." His voice hardened. "You have no idea what it's like to lead a pack. To make decisions that hurt people you care about for the greater good. You didn't care about me. I did." He reached for my hand. I jerked it back. "I loved you, Marina. But you couldn't shift. You couldn't defend yourself. You would have gotten yourself killed. So you decided to kill me first? I never wanted you dead." He glanced back at Theodore. "The trackers were just meant to keep tabs on you. Make sure you didn't do anything stupid. You're lying." The words came out flat. "I heard Mara. She said to make it look like an accident. To break my neck." Derek's face flickered. Just for a moment, the mask slipped. I saw the calculation behind his eyes. "That was Ava's order," he said smoothly. "Not mine. When I found out, I was furious. I came here to bring you home, Marina. To fix this. You can't fix this." "I can try." He took another step. "Come back with me. We'll say you've been recovering. We'll say." "No." He stopped. "What?" I said no. "I'm not going anywhere with you. Marina, be reasonable. You can't stay here." The Rogue King, he shot a look at Theodore. "No offense, Your Majesty, but you have a reputation. Teresa isn't safe here." "She's safer here than she ever was with you," Theodore said quietly. Derek's face tightened. "With all due respect, Your Majesty, Teresa is Wintertown Pack. She's my responsibility. My mate. You rejected her. A rejection I'm willing to reverse." The room went cold. "What?" I whispered. Derek turned to me, and for the first time, I saw desperation in his eyes. "Come home, Marina. Accept the reversal. We can fix this. We can." "You can't reverse a rejection," I said. "Once it's done, it's done. Not if both parties agree to nullify it." He pulled out a document from his jacket. "I had the pack lawyers draw this up. If you sign it, if you agree to come back, we can pretend the last 3 years never happened." Pretend. I stared at him. "You want me to pretend that you didn't throw me away? That you didn't send people to hunt me? That I didn't spend 3 years starving and terrified? I want us to move forward." "Why?" The question burst out of me. "Why now? Why, after 3 years, do you suddenly care?" Derek opened his mouth. Closed it. Theodore stepped forward. "I'll tell you why. Because he knows what you are. Or at least, he suspects. And now that you're under royal protection, now that you're starting to recover, he realizes his mistake." "I don't know what you're talking about," Derek said quickly. "Don't you?" Theodore moved to stand beside me. "Marina, did Derek ever tell you about his grandfather? What does that have to do with?" "His grandfather was Alpha during the last Great War. He executed 3 wolves for defective bloodlines. Wolves who showed unusual neural activity during shifts. Wolves who took longer to emerge." Theodore's eyes never left Derek. "Wolves who later turned out to be rare bloodline carriers. Platinum. Gold. Celestial." My breath caught. "You think I'm I think Derek suspected. And I think he was afraid. Because rare bloodline wolves are valuable. They're powerful. And if you emerged as one, you would have outranked him. You would have been able to challenge his authority. That's insane, Derek snapped. Teresa is. What? Theodore's voice dropped to something dangerous. Defective? Weak? Then why are you here? Why do you care so much about a wolf you threw away? Derek's hands clenched. Because she's mine. She was never yours. Theodore's eyes flared violet. You rejected her. You sent her to die. You don't get to claim her now. And you do. Derek's mask shattered. The smooth, political alpha vanished, leaving something ugly beneath. You think because you're the king, you can just take whatever you want? She's Wintertown property. I am not property. I screamed. Both men turned to look at me. I was shaking. Rage, pure, clean rage, flooded my system. My wolf, dormant for so long, suddenly surged. I am not property, I said again, my voice stronger. I am not a defective wolf. I am not a political pawn. I am a person. And I get to decide what happens to me. Derek's expression shifted to something calculating. Of course you do. That's why I brought the reversal papers. It's your choice, Marina. My choice? I laughed. You didn't give me a choice 3 years ago. You didn't ask if I wanted to be rejected. You didn't ask if I wanted to be banished. You made the decision, and I paid the price. I'm trying to fix it now. By forcing me to come back? By threatening the king if I don't sign your papers. I stepped toward him. My wolf was rising, pushing against my skin. What will you do if I refuse, Derek? Send more trackers? Tell Ava to finish the job. Marina. I refuse. He went very still. What? I refuse your reversal. I refuse to go back to Wintertown. I refuse to ever call you my alpha again. I was breathing hard, my hands curling into fists. You had your chance. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine. Something dark flickered across Derek's face. You're making a mistake. The only mistake I made was believing you ever loved me. He moved so fast I didn't see it coming. One moment he was standing there, the next his hand was around my throat, slamming me back against the wall. You ungrateful little. Theodore roared. It wasn't a human sound. It was the sound of an apex predator, a king, a force of nature. The windows rattled. The furniture shook. Derek dropped me, stumbling back. Theodore was on him in an instant. His hand wrapped around Derek's throat, lifting him off the ground like he weighed nothing. You dare, Theodore hissed, his eyes blazing violet, lay hands on a wolf under my protection? Derek clawed at Theodore's grip, gasping. Theodore, don't. I coughed, rubbing my throat. Don't kill him. Give me one reason why not. Because I struggled to breathe. Because I need him to see it. See what? What I really am. Theodore slowly lowered Derek, but didn't release him. What are you talking about? I looked at my hands. They were trembling. No, they were shifting. Claws extending, not the broken, incomplete things I'd managed before, but real claws. Sharp. Strong. Oh God, I whispered. Marina. Theodore's voice was urgent. What's happening? I don't know. Pain exploded through my body. Not the dull ache I'd felt before, but something different. Something right. My wolf wasn't whimpering anymore. She was roaring. She's shifting, Derek gasped. That's impossible. She can't. Get out, Theodore snapped. He threw Derek toward the door. Cade, get him out of here. Now. Cade appeared, dragging a stunned Derek into the hallway. I fell to my knees, agony and euphoria mixing. My bones were reshaping. My skin was splitting for erupting. Theodore, I gasped. It hurts. I know. I'm here. He knelt beside me. Don't fight it. Let her come. I can't, I've never. You can. His hand touched my face, and the moment his skin met mine, everything changed. The pain vanished. No, not vanished. Transformed. It became something else. Something powerful. The bond snapped into place with the force of a lightning strike. Mate. The word echoed through every cell of my body. Through my wolf. Through my soul. Theodore's eyes widened. Marina. I shifted. It wasn't like the stories. There was no grace, no elegance. It was violent and explosive and absolutely necessary. Light erupted from my body, not golden, not silver. Platinum. Pure, shimmering platinum light that blinded everyone in the room. When it faded, I stood on 4 legs for the first time in my life. I was massive. Larger than any wolf I'd ever seen except. I looked at Theodore. He was staring at me with an expression of pure awe. Platinum, he breathed. You're a platinum wolf. I tried to speak, but only a whine came out. My wolf was in control, and she was terrified and exhilarated and completely overwhelmed. Theodore slowly extended his hand. It's okay. You're safe. I've got you. My wolf, no, not my wolf. Me. I stepped forward, pressing my massive head into his palm. The bond hummed between us, golden and unbreakable. Mate, my wolf said again. And Theodore, his eyes glowing violet, whispered, mate. Outside, I heard Derek screaming, heard his wolves roaring, heard chaos erupting. But in this room, with my mate's hand on my head and my wolf finally free, I felt peace for the first time in 3 years. Until I tried to shift back. The pain that tore through me was unlike anything I'd experienced. I screamed, a howl that shattered the remaining windows in the office. My body seized, caught between forms. Half wolf, half human, unable to complete the transformation. Marina. Theodore's voice was panicked. What's wrong? I couldn't answer. I couldn't breathe. My vision went white with agony. And then, mercifully, everything went black. I woke to pain. Not the sharp, violent pain of shifting. This was deeper. A bone-deep ache that radiated through every inch of my body. I tried to move and gasped. Everything hurt. Don't. Theodore's voice, rough with exhaustion. Don't try to move yet. I forced my eyes open. I was in a different room, larger, with medical equipment surrounding the bed. And 4 line ran into my arm. Monitors beeped softly. Theodore sat in a chair beside the bed. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. His hair was disheveled, his clothes rumpled. How long? My voice came out as a croak. 3 days. 3? What happened? His jaw tightened. You shifted into your wolf form for the first time. A platinum wolf. One of the rarest bloodlines in existence. Your body wasn't prepared for the power surge. When you tried to shift back. He looked away. You couldn't complete the transformation. You were caught between forms for 6 hours before my healers could stabilize you. I looked down at my hands. They were my hands, human hands. But the nails were longer, sharper. And when I focused, I could see a faint shimmer of platinum under my skin. Am I still human? Yes and no. He leaned forward. Marina, a platinum wolf's power is immense. It's why they're so rare most wolves can't handle the transformation. Your body adapted, but there were consequences. What kind of consequences? He stood, moving to a mirror on the wall. He pulled it down and brought it to the bed. I looked at my reflection and stopped breathing. My eyes, my amber eyes, now had platinum flecks in them. And my hair, once dark from cheap dye, had platinum streaks running through it like veins of precious metal. It's permanent, Theodore said quietly. The transformation marked you. You'll always carry signs of your wolf now, even in human form. I touched my hair with shaking fingers. I look beautiful, he said. You look powerful. I look like a freak. You look like what you are. A queen. I shook my head. I'm not a queen. I'm just the fated mate of the Rogue King, which makes you the High Queen of the Lycan Kingdom, whether you want the title or not. The words hung in the air between us. The bond, I whispered. I felt it. When you touched me, when I was shifting. I felt it too. His voice was rough. You're my mate, Marina. My fated mate. How's that possible? The moon goddess already gave me a mate. Derek was a mistake. Theodore's eyes flashed. Or a test. Sometimes the goddess gives us what we think we want to teach us what we really need. Derek was never meant to be your forever. He was meant to break you open so you could find your true strength. That's a terrible lesson. The goddess rarely gives easy lessons. I looked at the 4-line in my arm. What happened to Derek? He's gone. I sent him back to Wintertown with a message. If he ever sets foot near you again, I'll strip his wolf and leave him human. He'll come back. Let him try. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to feel safe. But 3 years of running had taught me better. Theodore, you don't understand. Derek doesn't give up. If he knows I'm a platinum wolf, if he knows I'm valuable, then he'll have to go through me to get you. Theodore sat on the edge of the bed. Marina, I need you to understand something. That bond we felt? It's not just emotional. It's law. You are mine now, and I am yours. Under Lycan law, anyone who threatens you threatens the crown. Derek can't touch you without declaring war on me. And if he's willing to risk war? Something dark flickered across Theodore's face. Then I'll show him why I'm called the Rogue King. A knock at the door interrupted us. Enter, Theodore called. Cade stepped in, looking grim. My king. We have a situation. What kind of situation? Derek Stone returned to Wintertown. 2 hours later, he called an emergency pack meeting. He's declared Teresa a threat to Werewolf Society. He's calling for a hunt. The blood drained from my face. A hunt was ancient law, a call for all packs to pursue and eliminate a dangerous rogue. It hadn't been invoked in over a century. On what grounds? Theodore's voice was deadly calm. He's claiming she's unstable. That her shift was uncontrolled and dangerous. That she attacked him in your office. That's a lie, I said. He attacked me. It doesn't matter if it's a lie, Cade said. He has 12 packs willing to back his claim. They're calling for a tribunal. Let them call. Theodore stood. I'll go to the tribunal myself and... You can't. Cade looked pained. The hunt law is specific. The accused must be held in isolation until the tribunal. If you interfere, they can claim you're compromised. That you're protecting a dangerous rogue over the safety of the kingdom. I am protecting my mate. They don't know that yet. Cade glanced at me. Your bond hasn't been officially recognized. Until it is, she's just a rogue under your temporary protection. Theodore's hands clenched. How long until the tribunal? 5 days. And until then? Teresa has to be held in the neutral zone. Isolated. No contact with pack wolves, including you. Absolutely not. Theodore. I forced myself to sit up, ignoring the pain. If you fight this, they'll use it against you. They'll say you're unfit to rule. That you're letting emotion cloud your judgment. I don't care what they say. I do. I reached for his hand. I won't let Derek destroy you because of me. Marina. Please. My voice broke. I've spent 3 years running. 5 days in isolation isn't going to kill me. But losing you, losing the only person who's ever really protected me. I couldn't finish. Theodore closed his eyes. The pain on his face was physical. 5 days, he finally said. But I'm sending my best guards. And if anyone tries to harm you, they won't, Kate said. The neutral zone is sacred ground. Even Derek wouldn't violate it. Wouldn't he? I thought. But I didn't say it out loud. 6 hours later, I was transported to the neutral zone, a fortress carved into a mountainside, guarded by wolves from every major pack. It was meant to be impartial, a place where accused wolves could await trial without fear. But as I was led into my cell, because that's what it was, a cell, not a room, I felt anything but safe. The guards locked the door behind me. Heavy. Final. I sat on the narrow cot and wrapped my arms around myself. 5 days. I could survive 5 days. I'd survived 3 years. What was 5 more days? But as the hours ticked by, as the isolation pressed in, I felt my carefully constructed walls starting to crack. My wolf paced in my mind, anxious, wanting her mate, wanting to run. Soon, I told her. Just 5 more days. Then we can be with him. If we survive the tribunal, she said. We'll survive. Will we? I didn't have an answer for that. On the second day, a guard brought me food and a message. From the Rogue King, he said, handing me a folded piece of paper. I waited until he left, then opened it. Marina, I am fighting for you. Every second. Every breath. The tribunal will not take you from me. Trust me. Trust us. L. I pressed the paper to my chest, letting the tears come. Trust. I'd forgotten what that felt like. On the 4th day, Derek came. I heard his voice in the hallway, smooth and confident. I'm here to speak with the prisoner. No visitors, the guard said. I'm the one who called the hunt. I have a right to face my accuser. She's not your accuser. You're hers. Semantics. Derek's voice hardened. Let me in, or I'll file a formal complaint with the tribunal. Silence. Then the sound of keys. The door opened. Derek walked in, and the guard closed the door behind him. We were alone. He looked me up and down, taking in the platinum streaks in my hair, the shimmer in my eyes. You really are a platinum. I didn't believe it until I saw it. What do you want, Derek? I want to make you an offer. I'm not interested. You haven't heard it yet. He sat on the chair across from the cot. The tribunal is going to vote in my favor. I have 12 packs backing me. The Rogue King has 3. You're going to be found guilty. Guilty of what? Existing. Guilty of being a danger to society. A wolf who can't control her shift. A wolf whose power is unstable and unpredictable. He leaned forward. They're going to execute you, Marina. The words hit like a physical blow. But it doesn't have to be that way, Derek continued. I can withdraw my hunt call. I can speak in your defense. In exchange for what? Come back to Wintertown. Accept the reversal. Be my Luna. I laughed. It was a broken, bitter sound. You must think I'm stupid. I think you want to live. Why? I demanded. Why do you want me back so badly? You hated me. You called me defective. I was wrong. His voice was sincere, practiced. I didn't understand what you were. But now I do. A platinum wolf is a gift, Marina. With you at my side, Wintertown could become the most powerful pack in the kingdom. There it is. I stood. You don't want me. You want my power. I want both. He stood too, moving closer. We could be great together. You could have everything you ever wanted, status, respect, a pack that values you. I have a mate. The Rogue King. Derek scoffed. He doesn't love you. He sees you as a political asset. A way to strengthen his rule. That's all you are to him. You're lying. Am I? Derek's voice dropped. Think about it, Marina. He's the king. He could have anyone. Why would he choose a broken, damaged wolf who lived in gutters for 3 years? Unless. He smiled. Unless you're useful. The words wormed into my mind, finding every insecurity, every doubt. "Get out," I whispered. 24 hours, Marina. That's how long you have to decide. Tomorrow, the tribunal convenes. Choose wrong and you die. Choose right. He moved to the door, knocking. Choose right and you live. The guard opened the door. Derek walked out without looking back. I sank onto the cot, his words echoing in my mind. Political asset. Useful. Was that all I was? My wolf snarled. No. Mate loves us. Mate protects us. But what if Derek was right? What if Theodore only wanted me because of what I could give him? I didn't sleep that night. And when morning came, when the guards arrived to escort me to the tribunal, I still didn't know what I believed. But I knew one thing. I was about to find out the truth.